Michael, early days of camp. What is it at this time of the year that you guys are getting ready, early in the spring before the games start?
You go through the little things that end up adding up to be important throughout the course of a year. So a lot of PFPs, comebackers, stuff like that. Obviously the things that we worked on all off-season, fine-tuning our craft and trying to be as sharp as we can on the mound. And then, position players just rolled in, so just kind of trying to make sure that we're firing on all accounts.
How did the off-season go for you? What were you working on specifically?
I was really just working on staying in my body, staying in control of the strike zone, and I did add another pitch. I'm trying not to cut her right now, but for the most part, just trying to sharpen everything up, not fall behind on hitters, and stay on the attack.
What's the process of adding a new pitch like?
It's a lot of trial and error. You find grips that have potential but may not work for your arm slot, and then you find things that work really well for your arm slot but may not have exactly the shape, and so then you start going shaping a pitch. And we're fortunate to have Bannister on staff now, and he kind of helps with that. So since getting to camp, he's been a huge influence on how that pitch is molding into a potential weapon.
Yeah, we see him really kind of coaching you guys up out there, really teaching, during your bullpen sessions and stuff like that. What has it been like working with him the little bit you have so far?
It's been great. Like I said, he's able to think about things that you may not necessarily think about as a pitcher. You think about how you can manipulate the ball, and he takes into account how, maybe a seam shift will work against, the aerodynamics of itself and, have natural shape. So he kind of gives his insight on that and his 2 cents, and it ends up going a long way when you're trying to do something like I'm trying to do.
Feel like you're in physics class sometimes, maybe?
Yeah, a little bit. And that's kind of the direction the game has gone in the past few years, and for good reason. I think it's a huge tool to have, when we're in the early days like this. So once you get to season and you're competing, you can just kind of work on sharpening that pitch up and not trying to make something new in the middle of the year.
Obviously, last year didn't go the way you wanted it to, but I'm sure you learned a lot. Well, what did you learn about yourself last year?
That what I have that day is, capable of competing without trying to do too much. I think when I got into trouble last year, I was trying to do more than what I had that day, and that ended up, putting me in a position where I was walking a lot of guys and putting the team in a bad position, not going deep into games. So now my focus this year is come in, stay in the strike zone. If some damage happens, that's part of the game, but for the most part, the best way to get outs is to have them swinging the bat and not keeping it on the shoulder. I
asked your new catcher, Martin Maldonado, about you, and he said something similar. He said, you don't have to be super nasty in order to be nasty. Is that kind of helpful advice coming from a guy who's accomplished so much?
Yeah, absolutely. And it's kind of been resonated with me throughout early days of camp so far, from staff and from older veteran guys, and just knowing what you have from day to day. I like having good stuff, but you're not going to have your A+ stuff every day, so being able to compete with what you do have goes a long way.
We saw Chris Getz put a real emphasis on improving this team's defense over the offseason, and a lot of the things he said were so it could benefit the pitchers, so pitchers would be more comfortable throwing the way they want to throw. Are you more comfortable knowing that there's some new guys back there that have reputations of being able to pick the ball up and get it over to first base?
Yeah, absolutely. I think it helps a lot that when a ball gets put in play, that that the guys behind you are going to do the job. And nothing against the guys that we've had in the past. I had a lot of respect for a lot of the guys that played behind me. It was just kind of a tough year for everybody, and when stuff like that gets cleaned up, it makes it a lot easier to do your part, and the guys in the field can do theirs.
We heard from you, from Pedro, from a number of other folks last year that some of the things that you're struggling with, physical part of the game, yes, but also the emotional, the mental part of the game too, which you've always been very cognizant of. We can ask you, and it makes a lot of sense, in the off season. Hey, you're working on this pitch, you're working on your body. What does the work on the emotional and the mental side of baseball look like during the off season?
Yeah, so I think the mental side of the game also comes from a lot of spiritual clarity. For me, that's going to the good book and prayer, and a lot of that is just trying to control things that are out of your control. Realizing that that's not a beneficial tool. Like you're going to have things that don't go your way, and when things hit the fan, so to speak, you want to be able to, stay under control and let everyone else be able to do their job. You don't want to start searching. I think I used that word a lot last season, and I think right now I'm in a good position to kind of just go out there and do what I have and not try to search for too much.
Yeah, well, how does the confidence level on that front specifically kind of compare to where you were, maybe not a year ago now, but during the season last year?
Yeah, I think confidence goes a long way. Confidence, just being able to trust the guys around you and trust yourself. That's part of being on a team like this. I think that, going out there and doing what guys around you trust that you can do, and the guy behind the dish trusts that, the plan that he has. I think that puts you in a position to go out there and have the best version of yourself on the mound.
When we talked to you in the group the other day, you mentioned you do want to live up to expectations, but not necessarily the ones other folks have for you, but your own. What are your own expectations for what you can do, be it this year or just in general?
Yeah, I think the main thing for me may not be as black and white as having a set type of goal. More so being a good example on the field for younger teammates, and being the type of teammate that I know the veteran guys on the team are bringing to the table. So leadership qualities are a thing that I really want to pride myself on this year, and how I handle adversity, how I handle success, how I interact with my teammates. Those expectations, I think, translate to how I perform a lot more than people realize. So those are really where my mind's fixated at right now.
I think I asked you this last spring. I'll ask you it again now because it's been another year added, but I mean, more than 7 years in this organization now. When you kind of look back on what that road has looked like, obviously eventful, but how would you say, you are, where are you right now compared to where you've been over the course of that journey?
Comfortable is a difficult word to describe it. I would say I'm more comfortable as a major leaguer. I'm never quite comfortable with the job. It's not a job that entails a whole lot of comfort. You're performing in front of a lot of people. You're always competing to hold on to the job you have, because there's guys competing to come up and get a spot. But I think a lot more casual about what this game is. I don't have all my identity tied up into this game, but I also know that this is my job, and I have to handle that like a professional. What
did the offseason look like from a more personal standpoint from you? Did you mentioned the other day when we were talking that you kind of are able to unplug from baseball a little bit. What was it like spending time with your family and getting to just kind of not be thinking about this?
It was great. We're fortunate enough to be tucked off in a little part of the world where we get to kind of seclude into the pine trees a little bit and just have our own little slice of heaven there. But I got baptized early in the season. I got married. We had another baby. So kind of building our family and building it with a strong foundation was a really peaceful way to spend this off season, and it kind of helped me reset for when baseball does come back around.
I just think it's real important for people to hear stuff like that, because you mentioned it, right? Like, you're performing in front of so many people, you're getting everything dissected from what you're doing on the field, but off the field you're doing the same kind of stuff everybody else is.
Right. Yeah, we're normal people in a sense. We have a very abnormal job, but we live everyday lives, and being able to do that with a good family dynamic makes all the difference.
We've heard a lot about kind of the way outside expectations are for this team this year, and very much from you guys, be it Pedro or you and your teammates, that you guys want to surprise some folks. What gives you the thought that you'll be able to do that when you look around this clubhouse here in the spring?
Part of it is just the general chip on the shoulder mentality, but also from individuals across the clubhouse last year, we know that we didn't perform to our utmost ability, and as a team, we definitely didn't do that in that front as well. So I think just being able to kind of come together, which is already happening early on, is going to provide wins in small ways, and those small ways add up to a lot more wins. So.
Whether it's Pedro talking about what the outcomes might be or what the process is, the new style that he hopes to play, what is the message you're kind of hearing from the skipper this year, and how does it really kind of excite you about what this team might be able to do?
That we're going to do the little things the right way, and I think that's huge. We've been fortunate enough to have people in the organization that preach that, and the new faces that are coming in are really re-emphasizing that. And so I think handling things as a professional, carrying ourselves the right way, working hard, making sure that we're all moving in the same direction, pulling from the same end of the rope. I think those little things add up to make a big difference.
And is that how you guys are going to surprise some people?
Yeah, I believe so. I think that there's a lot of guys on this team that are still hoping to get their shot at a postseason opportunity, and I think that with us fighting to become the team that we want to become, that we could be that in the near future.
All right, Michael Kopech, thank you so much for your time.
We all silly like the mayor.